Okay, well, hello again. I thought I'd have another very quick look at ICER. Here's their banner. The International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research. They are preparing for contact. Now, this is very important. They're preparing for contact. And we can look along the top here, and it's got news, ICER, evidence, profiles. So if we have a look at their profiles, as we did yesterday, we can see that they have such luminaries as Gary Heseltine and Eamon Ansbro. Now, if we go to the next caption, which is evidence, we can see there are lots and lots of UFO stories here from all over the place. You can click on these and you can read the stories, but that's what they are. They're stories. There's no real evidence here. Now, this is their... they still think that Roswell is the best UFO story out there, even though Brazel and Cavett, who were there when the wreckage was recovered, say that it was a balloon. Cavett signed a sworn affidavit to say that what Jesse and Marcel is holding in this picture is the remnants of a balloon. Jesse Marcel, remember the weatherman as well, said that while he was there, he identified it as a balloon, and Jesse Marcel was trying to convince him that sticks from the balloon had ET writing on them. So that's the best they've got. Now, interestingly, remember I showed you that Eamon Ansbro was there in the profiles, and now we're in the evidence now, and they're preparing for ET contact, but there's no evidence here in their evidence section of Mr. Ansbro announcing that he'd made ET contact in 2016. That's from New Zealand. Looks a little bit like New Zealand art, doesn't it, suspiciously? And here's another detailed high-definition photograph there of an alien spacecraft. But yes, Eamon Ansbro actually claimed back in 2018 that 2 years before, in 2016, he had made contact with an extraterrestrial species. Now, why is there no mention of Mr. Ansbro's contact with ET in the evidence section of the ICER website? It just isn't there. Seems a little odd, doesn't it? And remember that ICER are preparing for contact. Let's go back to profiles. And there he is. There's Mr. Ansbro. So he claimed, he was giving a lecture in Bulgaria back in 2018, and he claimed he'd made contact with an extraterrestrial species back in 2016 using his quantum superluminal communication system. Remember, that's the one that you have to connect with. You have to connect to it with your consciousness. You can't just turn it on and pick up a mic and talk to the aliens and listen to them out of a speaker on headphones. You have to connect to the system with your consciousness. You have to resonate with the system. And let's have a look at Mr. Ansbro making that monumental announcement in Bulgaria that he had made first contact with an alien species using his superluminal communication system. And here we have the same Mr. Ansbro, and he's giving a lecture. Where is he giving a lecture? UFO Conference 2018, lecturer Eamon Ansbro, and he's going to make an astounding announcement. Just listen to this.
Okay, I'm going to make the announcement. I've been waiting for this for 2 years, okay?
Чакам да го направя от 2 години.
We've actually made the contact.
Вече сме направили първи контакт.
With his
I've been
PVC.
very hesitant about this.
With his PVC pipes.
So the announcement has been made here in Haskovo, in Bulgaria,
Така че съобщението го отправяме сега тук в Хасково, България.
That this is a very early announcement
Това е много ранно съобщение.
to make
Yeah, it happened 2 years ago, but this is a very early announcement. He's made contact with an alien species using his PVC pipes. Can you believe that? You've got to wonder why. This was 3 years ago. We haven't heard of this guy. Why this guy hasn't been on all the TV channels. Why he doesn't have a Nobel Prize. Could it possibly be because it's all absolute bloody rubbish? It's a steaming pile.
make it aware it's already happened.
За да обясним, че вече се е случило.
The development of this operation is ongoing.
Развитието на тази операция продължава.
Contact was unexpected.
Контакта не бе очакван.
At such an early time.
Не бе очакван такова ранно време. Толкова рано.
Because the protocols have not been established or even developed for this to be received at this time.
Тъй като
So the protocols haven't been received or developed, but the equipment has. The equipment's there and it all works. So they can understand what the aliens are saying, but they don't have a protocol for actually dealing with what they're being told. Now, I'll show you the graphic in a minute. There's an interesting graphic where you have to connect to his PVC pipes with your consciousness in order for this thing to work. But obviously he's managed to do this. He's connected with his PVC pipes with his consciousness, and he's been in touch with these aliens. He doesn't tell us where they are or what species they are or what they actually had to say. He does go on to say that there could be beneficial transfers of information of a medical and technical nature. Well, how on earth would they be able to advise us on medicine when they're a completely different species? And the thing is, what a lot of people don't consider is, what if these aliens are not quite as advanced as us? What if they happen to... What if we got in contact with them by radio, okay? And you might on a microwave frequency, and he actually claims that his system operates on 1.5 gigahertz, which is quite interesting, considering he also tells us that it doesn't use radio waves, yet he gives us a frequency in hertz. Hertzian waves, right? So the whole thing is completely ludicrous. But just think about this for a second. Supposing you got in contact with some aliens and they got their radio technology sorted out, but not their nuclear technology. Now you don't know whether these aliens you're talking to are they could be the aliens equivalent of the Nazi Party. They could have conquered their planet, or be well on the way to conquering their planet. And they would say, yeah, we'd like to make an atom bomb. Can you tell us how to do it? Now, would we tell them how to do it, not knowing where they stand politically, not knowing if they're the good guys or the bad guys, simply because they're aliens and we've made contact with them and they're asking for this information? Would we give it to them? So why would a species that's technologically more advanced than us give us any technical information? It doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. It's nonsense. It's ludicrous. Okay, well, we'll have a little, just listen to a little bit more of this. Sorry if you can hear the wind howling in the background. It's actually winter here in Australia, and the wind's been whipping up a bit today.
Протоколите не бяха все още установени или не бяха развити за това да ни достигне по това време. Да го получим съобщението по това време.
The scientific community will not know about it.
Научното общество няма да знае за това.
Because of the immature status at present.
So what he's saying is that they can't make an official claim of alien contact because they will be laughed at. They will be laughed at hysterically because they can't prove it. Basically, is the bottom line. Okay, well, let's just have a look a little bit further on. Here we are. This is the same. This is the same video. Eamon Ansbro, and announcement: first contact made in mid 2016. So you got to wonder why ICER. Now remember, this guy's a member of ICER. Why they're preparing for contact if he's already done it? If he's done it 5 years ago, why are they preparing for contact? I wonder. Has he shown all the other members of ICER this equipment? Has he managed to get all of those people to connect to his PVC pipes with their consciousness and talk to these aliens who can talk English, of course? I think I might have mentioned it in the previous video that we know that we'll have no trouble talking to aliens, of course, because every species out there in the galaxy talks English. They speak and understand English perfectly well. I mean, you've only got to watch Star Trek to see that. You know, it's obvious. Contact made in mid 2016. So why is ICER preparing for contact? Only first announced at this conference. So I think he said that was in Bulgaria, wasn't it, in 2018? Work progressing to develop better technology. I wonder if he's asking for money to do that back here. Now this is interesting. Frequency 1.5 gigahertz. Okay, now that is a radio frequency. Gigahertz. In real time. No delays. Spurts of language, strings, a language interpretation supported by their signal technologies. Our problem with a low signal-to-noise ratio to interpret signals fits a zoo hypothesis within SETI. Yeah, a bunch of gibbons. This lot. I wonder what Seth Shostak and the real SETI people think of this nonsense. Monitoring of Earth had taken place over some years before initial contact. Astonishment of contact between both parties. What we understand is the following. One of a number of ETCs, extraterrestrial communities maybe, a federation within a local part galaxy. Dear, oh God. Impossible to interpret data. Relocation. That's a bit convenient, isn't it? This is ridiculous. Suspect outer solar system. Attempted contact had been made with 2 Earth governments. Yeah, okay. This is a steaming pile from top to bottom and from side to side. I can smell it from here. I can smell this steaming pile in Bulgaria all the way from Australia, even though it's 5 years later. Okay, so perhaps you should contact ICER and ask why they're preparing for contact when one of their members has actually made contact 5 years ago with an alien species. And perhaps you should be asking ICER if Mr. Ansbro has given all the members a demonstration. So he's had them all connect to his PVC pipes with their consciousness and actually communicated with these aliens. Let's just take a look at his proposal again. Now remember, he says he's not using radio waves. Yet he says here the frequency is 1.5 gigahertz. Well, that's a radio frequency, isn't it? And he also said, I don't know whether you'll be able to see my hand here. I don't know where it was. I've seen a few clips from this guy. And I probably can't find it, but he was standing on a stage and he said, okay, there's my hand, okay? He said radio waves are normally like that, and we've just turned them like that, so they're longitudinal waves. Now this is this is absolute bloody rubbish, because if you get a vertically polarized radio signal and just move it through 90 degrees, you've got a horizontally polarized radio signal. You can have it anywhere in between. You can have it at 45 degrees, you can have it at 30 degrees, you can angle the wavefront anywhere you like. So just by changing the polarity of the radio wave doesn't turn it into some magic wave that travels faster than 186,000 miles per second. This is ludicrous. It's nonsense. And you can even have a circularly polarized wavefront. A lot of FM radio stations transmit circular polarization. You can have it clockwise or you can have it anti-clockwise. It doesn't have to be vertical or horizontal. None of this changes the propagation speed. It's all radio, and it's all travelling at 186,000 miles per second. So there weren't any oohs and ahs in the audience when he made this announcement, and I suspect that's because everybody was just stunned. They just thought, any minute now, someone is going to sort of be just out of shot, on the stage, to the left or to the right, and there'll be a shepherd's crook will appear, and it will just hook him around the neck and drag him off the stage. That's what. If I was in that presentation, that's precisely what I would expect to happen. Although, to be perfectly honest, I doubt I could contain my mirth. I think I would be. I'd probably be laughing uncontrollably. All right, let's see what else we got here. And here's his contact operations. This is again from the same video from 2018. We understand that the focus of the operation, i.e. agenda, is bring a new level of awareness, planet consciousness shifting. A construct type station has 100 persons dedicated now to working with us to further this agenda. Can call upon other ETCs to support this agenda. I'm guessing ETCs is extraterrestrial communities, i.e. Federation. They are aware of protocols, requirement for first contact. We are developing 3 other QSC systems to distribute to 3 other locations, support 3 independent operations for simultaneous signalling. Well, I would think simultaneous signalling would be to a species that would have absolutely no idea what you were actually signalling, would only add to the confusion. Anyway, these are at Kingsland County in Ireland. This other place in Spain and in Germany, and we haven't, of course, heard from any of these places. We haven't heard from Germany. We haven't heard from Spain how they actually got on with this, connecting to their PVC pipes with their consciousness. This is pretty wearing. It's absolute drivel. As I said before, it's a steaming file. It really is. Why hasn't this guy got a Nobel Prize? Why hasn't he demonstrated it to all the other members of ICER? Why are they preparing for contact if it's already been done 5 years ago? It just reeks to high heaven, doesn't it? This whole thing. Now, this is how Mr. Ansbro is saying he's achieved this. Remember, he's got his quantum superluminal communication system. And down here, I didn't point it out yesterday, but down here, you've got to resonate with the system. You've got to connect the system with your mind. Can you see that? There's a little blue lightning flash here. You've got to use your consciousness to resonate with the system. So you have to telepathically connect. You have to telepathically connect to this system. He then goes on to talk about remote viewing and channeling, and we all know that is absolute bloody rubbish. No such thing as channeling, no such thing as remote viewing, and you're certainly not going to be able to connect to a communication system using your consciousness. You're not going to be able to resonate with a piece of equipment using your consciousness. This is drivel. It's a steaming pile. A steaming pile. Now, if there was such a thing as remote viewing or channeling, at least one channeler or one remote viewer would have collected James Randi's prize. I know it's no longer available because poor Mr. Randi's dropped off the perch, but that was available for a very long time, and all you had to do was go along and prove that you could remote view something. You know, prove that you could channel something, prove any kind of paranormal ability. And James Randi would have given you $1 million. And lots of people looked into it and found out that there was $1 million ready in the account to be given to anybody that could prove they could do something like that. I mean, even Tim Riffat, you know, written a book on remote viewing, and he claims remote viewing. You give him a simple challenge and he doesn't want to know anything about it. He looks like he's on the bones of his backside. Tim Riffat, living in a council flat with his mum. You know, he would have surely gone along and proved he could do some remote viewing. Very, very simple. You know, just tell somebody what they've got in their house, you know, and if they tell Randy that's what's in their house and that's what he says and it matches, then great. Or he tells Randy what's in his lounge room or what's in his bedroom. Although, come to think of it, what was in Randy's bedroom might give him nightmares for the rest of his life. But you know, these things are easily provable. If they exist, it will be very easy to prove. And I've got an open challenge out there for anyone that can remote view. Just, you know, describe what's inside my house, what's in my lounge. You can either remote view or you can't. None of this, I'm getting a feeling it's this, I'm getting a feeling it's that. Either you can remote view or you can't. Tell me what I've got in here. Tell me what vehicles I've got. Tell me what makes they are. Tell me what colours they are. You know, no one's ever done that. And the fact that nobody ever did that to take up James Randi's challenge tells me, and it should tell you, that there is absolutely nothing to it. Because if a remote viewer could just go along, remote view something, and then claim $1 million, who isn't going to do that? If I could remote view, I'd have been straight on to James Randi, and I would have said, right, what are the conditions of your test? Okay, you've got a room somewhere, and you've got these items in the room, and you want me to remote view the room and tell you what items are in there. Okay, this is what's in there. You know, there's a chest. If you open the chest, you'll find in there 3 pairs of underpants, 4 pairs of socks. There's a small television. There's a sideboard. It's got 4 drawers. You know, that's, you know, I'll take my $1 million, please. Be easy, wouldn't it? The reason he never had to hand out his $1 million was because it can't be done. There's no such thing as remote viewing. There's no such thing as channeling, and there's certainly no such thing as being able to resonate with a communication system. In Mr. Ansbrough's case, a couple of PVC pipes using your consciousness. You're not going to be able to resonate with the equipment using your consciousness. This is absolute bloody nonsense. Okay, just one more quick look at the antennas, and I think we'll call it a day. Right, now we've just gone back to the... I can't actually believe it's on this particular site, but it's Jodrell Bank, Manchester, AC UK or something. Why on earth they would want to be associated with this nonsense is way beyond me. Okay, so we see these two. You're never going to be able to run 1.5 gigahertz through these things. The whole thing is ludicrous. It really is. I mean, this is just, as I said yesterday, this is a theatrical prop. A couple of PVC pipes, you know, with some toroidal cores, with some wire wound around them. A few turns of copper here and there. But what we don't notice, what we don't see, is any feeder cables coming into these antennas. I didn't mention that yesterday. We don't see any feeder cables, do we? Any coaxial feeder cables? Are they coming in? See, if they were coming in under the ground, there was a hole in the concrete here, and they were coming up through the pipes here to these antennas. It'd be a very hard way of doing it. Really, it'd be a lot easier just to run the coax along there and then up here, along there and then up there. We don't see any feeder cables, any feeder arrangement for these antennas whatsoever. This is just a couple of plastic pipes stuck on a couple of bits of copper-clad, probably circuit board, single or double-sided circuit board, and it's just all theatre, purely a photographic prop, a theatre type device to show the non-technical. All right, well, I'll be keeping a bit of an eye on ICER, and I'll see what they have to say, see what they present. And I might even have a look at some of their evidence and maybe do some videos on some of the stuff they consider evidence, if I've got time. But certainly what I've seen so far, it does not look promising for ICER. It really doesn't. Time will tell, of course. Time will tell. We'll just have to keep a close eye on what they're up to, what they present, and see how realistic or unrealistic it is. Now, looking at this, I'd say it's going to be complete nonsense. Okay, well, again, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.